live on LinkedIn. All right, we are live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube, and we are getting ready to go live on IG. So if you are catching us today, I am pumped. Um, to have you joining us. If you're already joining us on YouTube, LinkedIn, or on Facebook, you see that I am not by myself today, and I'm so excited. You are in for a treat because you get to meet my colleagues on this call today. If you're joining us on IG, welcome, 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 welcome. Listen, as you are coming into the room, can you drop a one? If this is your first time joining us, can you drop a one and let us know where you are joining us from? If this is not your first time, if you are new, not new to this, but true to this, drop a two in the chat and let us know where you are joining us from. And if you are joining us on the replay, then comment replay and let us know that you are here. So if you are a one, let us know where you are joining us from. So you want to do a one and comment where you are joining us from. And then if you are not new to this tribe, you are true to this tribe, I want you to drop a two and let us know where you are joining us from, okay? And the twos, as you are coming in, I want you to welcome the ones, okay? We are going to be giving y'all the tea. Today, I am going to have two really amazing people who are going to be joining us on our conversation. Dalila, I am looking for you, my love, on IG. So let me just find you. Today, I am joined by my incredible colleagues in the chat. On IG, our moderator is Sharice Buchanan. Okay. And she's one of our career strategists. And on IG, I am waiting for Dalila to join us on IG so that I can bring her up and you guys can meet her here too, because she's already on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn, so you guys can see her already. But I don't want her to have to repeat herself twice. So let's see. All right. I'm seeing people from Ghana. I'm seeing people from Illinois. ATL is in the building. The UK is in the house. Canada is in the house. Rhode Island, Virginia. Hey, Jersey. Okay, Philippines. Chile, Miami. Long Island. Okay, Nashville. Okay. I'm excited. This is going to be good. So today we're going to be answering your questions in real time. Okay. We're going to be answering your questions surrounding all things work related and some of the things that you guys sent over to us kind of before we got into subject matter material. And so today I am excited to be joined by some of our tribe members, some of my colleagues. There she is. So Dalila is one of our career strategists. And so she's going to be answering questions at the same time. So just rock with me because we got a bit of feedback. All right, can y'all hear me still? Let's see. Ooh, that's bad. Okay. All right, just rock with me, guys. What is happening? Okay, can you guys hear me now? All right. Let's see. Can you hear me on YouTube, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn? If you can hear me on those platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, just drop a one in the chat for me. Let me know that you can hear me well and that you can see me well. Okay. So welcome from Washington. I love it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So if you can hear me well and see me well on all of the platforms, just drop a one for me and let me know. All right. All right. So we are good. We are good. Okay. See, sound was trying to get busy, and we're not having that for us today. So joining me live is Dalila, who is one of our career strategists at Dunamis. And together, she and I are going to be answering your questions in real time. Dalila is, I'm going to let her do her thing. I'm not going to introduce her. My love, you introduce yourself to the people, let them know where you're from. And yeah, and then we'll go into the questions.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all. This is very exciting for me. Again, Delilah, Lila, just call me. Call me, please. I'm excited to connect with you all. I am a career strategist with Dunamis. I've got years of experience spanning from the medical industry all the way forward to where I am now. Did a little stint in education, and I'm happy to share my experience, my knowledge with you all, and work together so we can come up with some amazing solutions for your next opportunity. So I would say sit back and relax, but no, take out your pen, take out your paper, take some notes, because I know Miss Susana is about to drop some gems, and I don't want you to miss a thing.
Yeah, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be good. Alrighty, so let's get into your questions. One of the questions that I got was, and this is something that we're starting to see a lot as we're meeting with some of our clients. And how many of you would say you have more degrees than a thermometer? And for some reason, it just feels like you have a hard time breaking into the right industry, right? So, like, you have all of the certifications, you've done all the things, you are prepared, and it just feels like you're hitting up a wall, like you keep running into a wall and you can't figure out why this isn't working for you. So this is the question that we got. And I'm looking over to the side just because this is where my computer is. But it says, I've been stuck in minimum wage jobs. I've graduated with my master's degree and I want to break into the corporate sector. How do I sell myself on my resume that I am able to do a job even though previous work experience does not really reflect my capabilities? It seems every time I apply, I get a message saying that I don't qualify. So a couple things that I want to break down, and then Delilah, I'm going to have you jump in and give your feedback, my love. A couple things that I want to break down in this question. To sum it up, the question is, how do I break into the sector, into the corporate sector, now that I have my master's degree? Pretty much is what this person is asking. And the question, the way that they said it was, how do I sell myself? Most important thing that I want you to be aware of is that I don't necessarily want you to think about it in terms of selling yourself, okay? Companies don't necessarily want to be sold, much like you don't want to be sold to, but you definitely are on the market to buy, right? So think about it that way. So when you are looking for a new opportunity and you're going for an interview and that kind of thing, you're probably not going to want to work with someone who exudes or screams out that they're just desperate for a role. So, if you are looking for a new opportunity, the best way that you can go about that is by making sure that you are speaking to the value that you bring. Okay. The other thing that I'm going to recommend, especially now that you have your degree, is to stop applying to safe roles. Stop applying to safe jobs. I think a lot of what I see when we are on the phone with some of our clients, when we are trying to help them navigate where should they go next, we see you applying to positions where it doesn't feel like it is a good fit, and it's really just because it's safe. It's something that you're comfortable doing. You read through the job description and it's like, okay, I can do 90% of the things that they're saying that they're looking for me to do. Our team is going to tell you, if you can do 90% of what they're asking for on the job description, you are overqualified. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. I hope you are taking notes and that you are not listening slow. Okay, because if you can do 90% of the things that they're asking for on a job description, then you're probably already overqualified for the role. Okay, and I'm telling you that with just so much passion, because as a hiring manager, I can tell you that one of the things that we don't want to do again is necessarily be sitting at the interview table 6 months to a year from now for the same position. Because if you already are with your master's degree, if you already have all of the things, then likely you're going to get bored in this role. So, to the person who submitted this question, if you feel like you are applying to positions now that you have your master's degree and you feel like you're not getting anything back or nobody is responding to you, I would look at what roles you are applying to. And secondly, I would challenge you to probably go a step above that, or maybe even two steps above that, because now you have the degree. But Delilah, my love, I would love to hear your opinion because I have so many more thoughts that I can share.
Absolutely. There are so many, like Miss Susanna said, definitely all those things. I would add that your resume needs to reflect where you want to go. And the only way to do that is to work with us. Work with us because we can help get you there. The thing
For
is,
sure.
we're going to highlight all the amazing things that you are, but we want to make sure that it aligns with the opportunities that you're seeking out. If it doesn't align, it'd be like walking into McDonald's and asking for a pizza. Like, they don't sell pizza. Okay. So we need to make sure that all the things align. I think that is key.
For sure. And I think also the capabilities. So I'm gonna give y'all T. If you're ready for T, I want you to type TEA in the chat, because I'm gonna give you T right now on what you should be doing, especially as it relates to capabilities over title. I'm in a season right now where I am trying to take all of the thoughts that are in my head surrounding career and career development, and putting it to paper so that I can have something that I can share with the world. But the T is, when it comes to your experiences, I want you to focus on your experiences over job title. I think a lot of times what we see when we are working with our clients is that they'll tell us, "Oh, well, I can't apply for that role because I don't feel like I have the experience for it." Or I don't have enough of the certifications or all this other stuff for it. And so you talk yourself out of applying for a position, and you might really be qualified for it. So I want you to think over, and if you're already on our newsletter, you got this kind of in your inbox already. Um, if you are in that season where you are struggling and you feel like, I don't have the experience, but it's time for me to go for a new role, chances are you do have the experience. You have not been able to identify what are the transferable skills so that you can speak to your experiences with conviction. That's what we help you do. So one of the things that we do on our calls is that we ask you a lot of questions so like that we can extract that information. And many times the reason why people struggle is because you have a hard time articulating your value, because no one has challenged you to ask you what it is that you do. How do you do that well? What is your process? That's the first thing. And second thing, I don't mean to be in your business, and I say this with a lot of love, but some of y'all are not tracking the work that you do. And so when it comes to your experiences, you feel as if you don't have the experience, but the truth is that you do. You have not been good in tracking your productivity. And so you spend a whole lot of time expecting someone else to notice your work when in fact you're already qualified. Okay? And so when, like, the women that we work with, shout out to y'all, because the men and women that we work with, they have incredible degrees, they have years of experience. It's not like they started yesterday, like they've been doing this now for some time. But they haven't applied to a position in 5 years, in 10 years, so it feels really overwhelming. But you don't have to go at it alone. This is why we do what we do. Between Sharice, who's in the comments right now, Delilah, who's joining me live, and myself, this is what we help Black and Brown people do: articulate your values so like that you don't feel like you have to stay at a minimum wage role. Okay, because there's so much more out there for you. Sharice is waving to y'all. So hey, Sharice. All right. The next question. Anything that you want to add, Delilah, before we move on to the next
No,
question, my
you
love?
said it all. You said it all. Yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right. The next question that I want to answer says, my role was eliminated due to reduction in force. So I'm on transition pay at my current company. I'm trying to get as many introductory or informal calls in. So I'm not just spraying and praying. This person has been following us for a while. So they're not spraying and praying their applications. Do you have any tips on what to discuss or ask on these calls? So pretty much this individual is asking, like, how do I go about doing those informal kind of coffee chats or introductions? That's one of the things that we encourage you to do. Is to help you make those types of connections. So like that is not just, it's not so scary. Like we give you templates on how to do that. We role play with you. So like that, it's like, okay, test it out with me. Because one of the things that I think people get really stressed out about is how do I make an introduction without sounding really salesy or without sounding really creepy, especially if we're leveraging things on LinkedIn, right? How do I make a connection with somebody who I don't know? And how do I make it genuine? So like that, it's not so so not weird, right? One of the examples that I give is imagine that you're at a club. This is going to date me big time, but imagine that you're at a club and you're dancing with a group of your friends and some random individual just shows up behind you and starts dancing with you. What would be your reaction? Can somebody tell me in the chat what would be your reaction if somebody just showed up? You are out with your girlfriends living your best life, and someone just randomly shows up and you don't know them from a can of paint and they just want to have a dance with you. Like, exactly. Somebody said back up, right? Like, that's exactly how you would feel. Some of the ladies are like, I would dance away. And I don't blame you. That's exactly how it would feel. So if you're not careful with how you make your introductions, especially online, it can feel really creepy. So we would encourage you when you are making those types of connections. Companies or individuals want to associate themselves with people who are stars. That's the first thing. And second thing, companies and individuals are going to want to add value. So it can't just be, hey, my name is Susana and I saw, Delilah, that you're hiring for this position. I know you don't know me from a can of paint, but can you give me a job? Like, they're going to be like, first of all, who are you? Right? Like, where are you coming from? So the best way that I would say for you to be able to address some of those kind of jitters when you are connecting with someone is firstly do your research. What about this individual makes you want to genuinely connect with them? Secondly, before you start asking for anything, make sure that these are people worth your time, and make sure that you have something that you can add of value. Okay. One of the things that we start with is we start with your current network, right? So we encourage you to start with your current network, letting them know that you are looking for a new opportunity, right? And we give you language surrounding that so like that it doesn't feel so scary. But Delilah, what would you encourage people to do or say?
um like just like you said a second ago, making sure that that you align with what they're looking for, in that, okay, who are you, right? They're gonna go to your LinkedIn because they're gonna say, who is this person sending me this thing? I want to know who they are before they answer your question. And so you want to make sure that you look really good on LinkedIn, or you want to make sure that you are the solution to their problem before they even identify a problem, because you've already done your research. You already know what they are about, what they're looking for, what they need.
Mhm.
And you are the solution. Like the genie in Aladdin, you want all the
For
arrows
real.
pointing to you, here, 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 right? You want them to say, oh, now I want to talk to this person because they have something I need. So you got to
Right.
position yourself in that way. Yeah.
And I would say when you are looking at LinkedIn, one of the things that I need you to pay attention to, and we're going to do a little bit of an exercise right now, is if you are on LinkedIn, how many of you have like your name and then like your position at the organization that you work at? No shade and no tea, but I'm giving you free game. Okay. If you are on LinkedIn, how many of you have your name and the position that you hold at your current organization? If that's you, I want you to type me in the chat, right? If that's you, I want you to type me in the chat. And the reason why I'm leveraging this is because if I am a hiring manager, and chances are I am looking at your LinkedIn profile because you put it on your resume, you telling me your name and the position that you hold at your organization is not giving me any information in terms of me being able to position you as a solution to a problem. So if your LinkedIn is telling me that your name is Susana Alba and you're the director of, I don't know, the director of support, that may have a very different look and feel in my organization. So if I'm looking for someone who has an operations mindset, who is good with logistics, who knows how to build relationships, who's not afraid of giving presentations or collaborating with a team, you telling me your name and the position that you hold, well, now you're making it more about the organization that you work at than it is you as the individual and the brand of one. Companies want to work with people who are solution oriented, right? More than they just want to work with people who have titles. Because how many of us have worked with individuals? And listen, don't say nothing, okay? Just assume you and I are we're like talking to each other. Assume you're on a FaceTime call with Delilah and I, because I'm gonna ask you a question and you're gonna giggle, and I don't want you to give yourself away. But how many of us have worked with people who have all kinds of titles and they just don't know how to do the work? Okay. Now listen, I'm live on LinkedIn, so don't be saying nothing crazy because you don't want people to come back and look at you. But how many of us have worked with people who have a bunch of titles, but they just don't know how to do the work, or they don't know how to speak to people in the right way, or they don't know how to execute a thought or cast a vision, or they're always coming to you because they're looking for you to provide that type of solution. So when you are trying to make connections, try to think through what is the value that I add and how can I be of value going forward? Okay. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that I want you to pay attention to, and I say this a lot, and it is this: a reduction in force does not mean that there is a reduction in your value. A reduction in force does not mean that there is a reduction in your value. So if any of you at any point, whether it's now or in the future, you've gone through a restructuring that has impacted you and it's made you feel some type of way, a reduction in force does not mean a reduction in the value that you add. Delilah, you have anything you want to share, my love?
Yeah, that's huge right there. Your value doesn't change because someone else changed their mind. You know who you are, and you've got to maintain that confidence. You've got to walk boldly in who you are and know who you are. I mean, is the most important thing, because
I can't hear you on IG, my love.
Sorry about that. I forgot to unmute.
It's okay. It's okay. Say that one more time.
So I don't want you to feel like your value is watered down. You got to know who you are and maintain that value and walk confidently in that. Don't let anyone steal your joy or dim your light because someone has changed their mind. It doesn't change all that you've done, all that you've contributed thus far, and who you've become in your particular role. It's very, very important.
Absolutely. And I think that if we are not having those conversations often or having those conversations with the right individuals, we will fall trap to believing that we don't have any value, that no one's going to hire me because I was laid off or because I was fired. Truth be told, unless you tell me that during your interview, there's no way that I would know. There really is no way that I would know. Yes, I probably can do a little bit of research, but that information is so protected to a degree that unless you are the person sharing that information, we wouldn't know. So if they call you for an interview and you have recently been laid off or you've been let go, leverage the language that you're hearing on the market, right? Restructuring, reorganizations, all those types of things are things that are common language and they happen all the time. But that does not necessarily mean that it was you, that they made the decision based off of just who you are. Shameless plug. We're talking about resumes. We're talking about how to find your next position. We're talking about transferable skills and all those kinds of things. We do a resume boot camp, what seems like every month. And we have another one coming up on October 9th. October 9th is our next boot camp where we're training you, we're teaching you, you'll get to meet the rest of our staff. But really, what we want to do is make sure that you finish this year strong because we're going into quarter three. October 1st is tomorrow. And for some of you want a new role in 2025. And what we don't want is for you to wait up until 2025 to find your new position. That's number one. And number two, some of you feel as if you've been applying to buku jobs and nobody is responding to you. Our rule of thumb at our agency is this: if you're not getting any interviews, it's likely your resume. And if you're not getting any offers, it's likely that during your interview, you're not portraying yourself as a solution to a problem. And so at the Resume Bootcamp, we teach you how to do both things. Okay. So if you need that kind of support, okay, I want you to comment the word strong, STRONG, and Susanna the bot, my assistant, will send you the link for you to be able to register. When you register for the bootcamp, you're going to get a resume template that you can start using right away. But you're also going to get the resume workbook that gives you a bunch of just practical, easy things that you can start to pay attention to in terms of what are my transferable skills, what are some of the things that I can use in AI, like Chat GPT, to help me write a resume. Because man, Delilah, Sharice, and I have seen some resumes that AI has written for people, and we're like, ooh, no. It's too much, or it sounds exactly the same like everyone else. We've also heard a lot of bogus recommendations, like copy the job description, put it real small, and hide it on your resume, and like that they will help you. Like the keywords in that will help you. Don't do none of that, okay? Please don't. If you can do nothing else, join us at the boot camp, because you're going to be able to walk away with real tangible things that you can do that very night, so like that you can start seeing more of a solution than it's just like, I don't know, I'm just going to make up something and put it on my resume. So if you are on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, I'm dropping the link for y'all so you can register to join us at the boot camp. Okay. So you should get the link for you to be able to register to join us at the boot camp on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. If you don't get it, let us know. Delilah or myself will drop it in the chat for you. But I'm going to drop it again just in case. Okay. So we're dropping the link for you on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And on Instagram, if you comment the word strong, we'll send you the registration link for it. Listen, this is the best $40 investment you will make in a long time. Okay. And yes, there is a fee for it, because like with anything in life, you are going to have to make an investment. It's either going to be an investment of your time or it's going to be an investment of your money. And in some cases, it's going to be both. I can tell you from experience that I have a whole bunch of degrees, and that was an investment of my time and an investment of my money. And not too many people prepared me. So I ended college with a whole lot of debt. Okay. And so we want to make sure that if you are making this investment, you can see a return on your investment. So if you comment the word strong on IG, Susanna the Bot or Sharice will be able to send you the link to register. If you're watching me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, we just dropped in the comments for you how you can register for the bootcamp. We have one more question, and that question is the following. This person is in the health industry, and they've been a medical coder for the majority of their career. For the past 3 years, they've been in auditing. How do I go from working claims to a leadership role without leadership experience? Oh, I have so much I want to say, but I'm going to turn it over to Delilah because Delilah knows this firsthand. And then I'm going to share with y'all what my thoughts are. Delilah, take it away, honey.
With pleasure. This excites me because I used to be a coder too. Ooh, I'm like, how do you do this? How do you transition from one role to the next in any industry? The proof is in the pudding, sweetheart. Whatever you're doing, keep a brag book. Like in any role that I'm in, I track my own work because I like to see my own progress. That's just
Right.
me. So I keep a tracker and I say, okay, I was able to accomplish this. I was able to work with that person. And I do that for various reasons. One, because I want to see from start to finish how I was successful, if I was successful in helping a situation close out. But if you're not keeping track of your work, then when it comes time to tell, nobody's going to tell your story better than you. Like, you're going to be your biggest advocate. You're going to be the one to say, I was able to accomplish this and that. But you'll be able to speak from a place of proof because you have it. You have it documented. In the medical industry, we live by this statement, and tell me if I'm wrong. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen.
Right.
It didn't happen. And it's the same thing with coding. You can go from straight coding to auditing to, ridiculous. You can do so much, but if you're not keeping track of your work, no one's going to know. And so you have to be able to tell your story better than anyone, right? And so to make that transition from actually coding to becoming a manager of a team or transitioning, you have to be able to speak to that. And then your resume and everything about you, all your branding documents have to align with that same story. So it can be done. I've done it. I didn't wait 13 years. You are an expert now. You're not entry level. You are an expert. So you should own the company. Let's put it that way. At this point, if you've been in it this long, then it's time to change the narrative to fit where you want to go.
I could not agree more. If you are already 13 years into a position, like she said, you are already an expert. So it's not necessarily about how do I get into this next leadership role? It's how do I leverage the experiences that I have that position me as a leader. So one of the things that we talk about during the resume bootcamp is how you can do that. How do you use your experiences to position you and speak to where you want to go from where you've been? Too many times, what I see is that I see a lot of candidates who are applying for the same role, but a different title. Or they're trying to apply for a role in hopes that they can make like a lateral move and eventually work their way up. Because how many of us have believed that if I just get my foot in the door, then they will let me into this position. If I just can get my foot in the door, then somebody will notice my work and eventually they'll have me move up. And so that's what I find. I find that many folks will think with that mentality, and then you get frustrated because you're applying to the same positions and people are looking at your resume and they're like, this person is already way overqualified for this role. So why am I going to have them even interview because they're likely going to get bored and it's time for me to move on. So if that's happening to you, you probably need to be at the resume bootcamp so like that we can go through this with you. Because one of the things that I do on the resume bootcamp is that I review resumes in real time. At the last boot camp, we had someone who was in the world of finance. And they were telling us that they were good with numbers and that they were good with budgets and all that kind of stuff. And that's all good and well. But when you are in that type of world, you have to be able to show your proof. And so this person, not only were they good with numbers, the budget that they were managing and they were working with was in the millions, and not like 1 or 2 million. I'm talking about like 300-400 million. And none of that information was on your resume. If I am a hiring manager and I'm looking for my next CFO or my next accounting person, right? The next person who's going to be managing my finances, I need to know that you have that capability to manage that kind of a budget. But if you're downplaying it, which is what I see, especially with women, ladies, come close to the front of the line. What I see a lot with y'all is that you will downplay your expertise. You will believe that you need to take things off of your resume because you don't want people to become offended. None of that. We don't encourage any of that. We want you to do all of that. You'll feel as if I'm going to be in some of y'all's business. Some of y'all will only apply to a position if you meet all of the criteria. Some of y'all will apply to a position only if you feel like you get the validation from someone else. Some of y'all won't even tell anybody else that you're applying to a position because you're afraid of what they might say, do, or think about you. And if there's one thing that you're going to learn about working with us, is twofold. Others' opinions of you is none of your business. Okay. And secondly, no one is coming to do it for you. So when Delilah was telling you about tracking your work, we believe in that 10 toes down. Because if you are not tracking your work, then why should I trust you to be able to move my company forward? If you can't speak about your ability and your skill set with confidence, why should I believe in you to hire you? And if your thought is eventually they'll give me a shot, you're going to be waiting a long time for that eventually. Okay. And I need you to pay attention to the way that things are operating, because I don't realize, I don't understand. I don't know if many of you have experienced this, but the way that interviewing is happening now looks really different than what we were used to even a few years ago. At least a few years ago, you were interviewing with people. Okay. Now, and what I think we'll continue to see more of is that companies will have you do a preliminary interview or a screening interview, and it's you and a recording. So they're going to ask a question on the screen and you will have to answer that question, and they'll record your response. You submit that, they'll ask you another question. And mind you, nobody is on there with you. It's just you and the computer. And based on how you do on that is whether or not they'll call you for an in-person interview. And some of you are afraid of giving just a standard presentation. It's a very real thing. So if that is where you're at, the other thing that I'm starting to see is companies, again, because there's a lot of qualified people in the market right now, they'll hold a group interview with 5 or 6 candidates for one position. And based on how you perform in that group interview, they'll move you to the next one. Talk about scary and intimidating. So the reason why we do the work that we do is because we want you to be able to articulate your value. Some of you, like the women that work with us, the women who are our clients, you have years of experience. Not just like 2 or 3 years, but you have 8, 10 years of experience. You have a degree or multiple degrees, or multiple certifications. Okay. Some of you don't have a degree, but you have a whole lot of years under your belt. You've trained people, you've coached people, you've supported people. And now it's time for you to get back out on the market, and you're afraid. You're a nervous Nelly, right? And so this is why we do the work that we do. We start by helping you with your resume, because your resume is the key that unlocks the door, but it's not the only thing. Okay. So going off of the question that was submitted, like, how do I go from a transferable skills to a leadership role? Baby, start documenting what you're doing. Okay. And many of you, one of the things that I tell our clients is that you need fans, you need champions, you need people who are going to be exposed to your work ethic and can serve as proof and can speak your name in rooms that your feet will never step foot in. But you're like afraid to ask for that kind of stuff. That's the first. Or secondly, you don't know where to go. Okay. So if you comment the word strong, Susana the bot or Charisse will send you the link for you to be able to register if you're on IG. If you are on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, we are going to drop the link for you to be able to register for the upcoming event, and you should be able to get it in just a second. But I want to be mindful of the questions that were submitted. So Delilah, I'm going to read these questions over to you, sweetheart, and then you tell me your thoughts, okay? First question is, everyone gives tips to make connections on LinkedIn, but how to make networks in real life, like events or fairs? Ooh, that's a good one.
Events or fairs? Ooh, show up and show out. Bring your best self if you're going, and be ready to speak to people like instantly. You and even if like there are other people and somebody's dominating the conversation, find a way to interject, because that is going to be key. You've got to be able to show up. I keep getting dropped on Instagram. I don't know what's going on, but just an FYI.
Okay, so on IG, I'm not sure what happened. We lost Delilah. But one of the things that she said was to show up and show out, in terms of making sure that during an event, if you're going to do these types of events in person, right? Everybody talks about doing them on LinkedIn, right? But if you're going to do the event in person, show up and show out. Like, don't be afraid to introduce yourself. Don't be afraid to carry business cards of yours, or if you have oh my goodness, if you have IG or if you have LinkedIn, did you know that you could use LinkedIn as your virtual business card? You can have a QR code. LinkedIn gives you a QR code where you can leverage that QR code, and it'll take people right to your LinkedIn profile. So you want to be able to leverage that. The other thing that you can do, like one of the things that we are hoping to do in 2025. Now, Delilah's like, Susana, you giving away the tea. But one of the things that we are going to tell y'all is a sneak peek. Like, we're looking to do events with y'all in person in 2025. And we're hoping to do these events regionally. So like that, not only can we meet you in real time, but we can give you tea, because this is awesome to be able to connect like this, right? But there's something special that happens when you gather in a room and you can connect with other people and get poured into, but also make connections that carry you onward. And so if that were something that you struggled with, like, how do I make a connection? Pay attention. Make sure that you are on our email list, because we're likely going to start sharing that information soon on how you can connect with us in 2025 in a couple of places. We want to do East Coast, West Coast, Central US. So we coming. I can't tell you when just yet, but know that we are coming. We're coming to a city or a town near you. But if you are going to be doing anything in person, I would encourage you to make sure that number one, you can do at least a little bit of research of who all is going to be there, especially if they're going to be speakers or things of that nature. Who are some of the speakers who are going to be there? You can introduce yourself ahead of time. If you are already at the event, don't be afraid to mix and mingle and introduce yourself. One of the things that we did at the conference earlier this year was that we held a networking gala. And that was a lot of fun. Everybody was dressed to the nines in their favorite sneakers, but that was one of the ways that we started to network and connect. Another way that you can start to connect with people, I don't think you realize just how powerful it is that there are 100, almost 200 of you watching me on IG. There's another group of you that are watching me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Your common connection right there is me. So imagine what would happen if you were bold enough to say, hey, y'all, I'm on LinkedIn. Please connect with me. That's how you start to build your network, because just because you are looking for a job doesn't mean that somebody on here is not hiring for a job. Just saying. So leverage your connections, especially if you are nervous about doing them in person. Consider doing them online, so like that you can transition to in person. All right. The next question that we got is, if salary compensation didn't come up in the first interview, which likely it won't, and it's not on the job description, what does that mean? The interview went well and they're leaning in and everything. So, all right. So this person's question is, if the salary was not posted on the job description, when should I bring up salary? Let them be the first ones to start that conversation, right? Because you never want to position yourself where you bring up salary and now you've shot yourself in the foot because it's significantly less or way more than anything that they suggested. So if they are seriously interested in you, they're going to let you know, okay? One thing about organizations that we know to be true is that they are going to treat their top candidates like top candidates. So eventually they're going to share with you salary and salary expectation. It is your job to do your research, so like that when they do ask you, you have a number to go off of, okay? Let's see. Okay, so those were the questions that we got. Delilah, my love, thank you so much for joining us today.
It was a blast. I can't wait to get to know all these beautiful people. So
yes. So if you're watching us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook, you got to meet Delilah. If you were watching us here on IG, you got to see her for a little while. IG is being a little weird, so we don't know why she can't show up here. But again, we're going to close out with letting you know that the next boot camp is taking place on October 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you comment the word strong on IG, Susana the bot will send you the registration link so like that you can register to join us. Upon registering, you will get the workbook and you will get a resume template that you can leverage. And if you register sooner rather than later, you'll also have the opportunity to submit your resume for one of us to review it during the resume bootcamp. So you want to comment the word strong, STRONG on IG, and Susana the bot will send you the link. Couple things that my team is reminding me of. Yes, we do work with men, okay, because I get that question a lot. We do work with men, and yes, we do work with other ethnicities outside of Black and Brown, men and women. The most important thing that I will say is that we are trying to serve as many people as possible and serve them well, just because we see a lot of trash that's being sold here online or told to you online. And we also have a heart for making sure that you are seen and heard and that you are valued and equipped. So as long as you step up to us with that kind of respect and with that kind of game, we promise that we will respect you and honor you and help you get to make your next move your best move. And don't be afraid of taking a lateral role. Sometimes it's necessary for you to take a side step before you take a leap. And so we're here to help you with that. Okay. So I hope that this live was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed connecting with Delilah, and that you enjoyed connecting with Sharice, who is in our comments, helping us to stay afloat. But thank you so much for your time and attention. I cannot wait to meet the city of y'all at the upcoming boot camp. It's going to be good. It's going to be powerful, and it's going to be transformational. So thank you so much for your time, and we will catch you on the next one. Okay. Bye, everybody. See you later.